Greetings friends, hope this finds you well. Rekcinol here, and today we're going to be upgrading my son's gaming setup. So currently he is set up in our guest bedroom because he doesn't have enough room in his room for a full setup. So he used to be in the basement before I redid mine. We used to have this huge, long, double IKEA setup with Alex drawers, and if you go back you can watch my build video. Since then he has been up here in the guest bedroom, 2-foot IKEA table, but it's been working fine. But we decided to go ahead and upgrade his setup, so he is going to be using a sit-stand desk base, and I'm going to custom make the top for it and then stain it to a color that he wants. And then we might do some shelving or some kind of pegboard or something on the wall as well. Let me show you what we have now and talk about what we're going to be moving to going forward. So here's a little more detail. So he's got a autonomous Ergo Chair 2, I think, maybe premium. I know this is the first one I ever bought from Autonomous before I upgraded to my Herman Miller Logitech gaming chair. It's a good chair, just he's using it now that I don't need it anymore. And you can see, so this is just one of those, I think it's a Linman, I don't remember exactly. He's got my old NZXT build. I did a build video on that, I don't know, last year sometime. That's currently what he's using. We upgraded the video card in it. He's got a 27-inch Alienware IPS LED. I think it's 240 hertz G-Sync Ultimate, one of my older monitors as well. But you can see it's a mess. So this space, it's really small. It's in between the window and the closet door. Like I said, it's in our guest room, so not a lot to work with. We've got about a little over 60 inches from the window to this wall, and then I think it's about 28-29 inches deep. So I'm going to be building a 60 by 26, so 60 inches wide by 26 deep desktop to put on the new Monoprice single motor sit-stand desk base that he bought. And I'll show you some more details on that because I got to put that together too. I'll give you some details on the rest of it as we go. All right, before I test fit the top, I just wanted to point out a couple of things now that it's assembled. So the instructions show to put the motor on the front side and the cable tray, you know, so this would be the front and then the cable tray would be facing back this way. I didn't want to see the motor or the connecting rod, so I wanted it to be on the back. But the problem with that is either you put the tray in the front or you're going to lose some space on the tray. And you got to be careful because this does move as you raise the desk up and down. So you're going to lose some space in your tray. And you also want to make sure you're super careful that nothing gets tangled in this that's sitting in the tray. So you need to tie wrap it up, make sure it's not going to get in here or you're going to have all kinds of trouble. I may just take this off completely and get something else that can go more towards the rear because that's where most of the cables are going to be. Something else that's similar to this that I can screw on underneath. We'll see. But I may leave that there for some things as well. I don't know yet. Because this is single motor, you have to have this connecting rod to drive the other side, the gears on the other side, so that this lifts both sides at the same time. If you're using a dual motor sit-stand desk, that's going to be something you don't have to worry about because you're going to have independent motors. Like the autonomous one that I have, the motors are in the legs. You don't have any connecting rod. You don't see any of the cables because everything is inside of the pillar. But that's also like $400, $450, I think, dual motor base. So definitely more expensive because of that probably. So if you're considering sit stand desk, just take that into consideration. You want single motor, dual motor, and if you go single motor, these are some of the things you may have to deal with. Other vendors may deal with this differently. I haven't done any other ones except for autonomous, so I've always done the dual motor. Just keep that in mind. So here is the custom tops that I'm going to be making.
Here you can see I'm drilling holes, and I'm also rounding off all the corners. Then we got to make it all smooth. Then comes the router bit to round over all the holes and edges to make them nice and easy on the arms. Now for some wood filler to fill in all the imperfections. Here we are the next day, doing a test fit of the wire grommets. This is the stain I'll be using. It is an oil-based, semi-transparent stain. These are the staining pads I like to use. So we're going to sand everything down one more time. You usually do like a 220, maybe a 300, then vacuum everything off. Then wipe it all down with a wet cloth, let that dry, and we're ready for some stain. Gonna let these sit overnight, and then comes a coat of feed-in wax, beeswax oil. So I use a clean staining pad, rub this in, let it sit for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then just wipe off all the excess. This will seal the wood and keep it from soaking in moisture or getting stained by something getting spilled on it. Now it's time to make the floating shelves. I'm using a 1x10, and then I'm sandwiching that with another 1x10 with, I think, some 1x2s. And you can see everything's clamped up. Get it all nailed, glued. Then I put wood filler in all the holes, then sanding, and then repeat just like we did with the desktops for the vacuuming, wiping everything down, staining, and then sealing. Here you can see me doing all the cable management. It's just much easier being able to do it before I put the desk in place and have to crawl underneath of it. So mounting the extra shelves, the power strip, the controls for the motor to make it go up and down, and then I'm using fasteners and tightening everything down with cable ties. If you want to see what tools and materials I use for this kind of stuff, I did a full cable management video. You can find that on my channel. I'll also link it down below if you want to check that out and see how I do this.
I tried to get as much done as I could while I had this flipped over. Just much easier than trying to do it upside down under the desk, if you kind of know where you want things. So, as you saw, put on these extra trays. The one that it came with is just not gonna, it's not far enough back and it's just not big enough. Plus I don't want anything getting tied up in that drive rod that's driving the other leg. So, got the power supply mounted. This is an all metal housing power supply. I think it has a 1500 joule rating. Yeah, these are metal, 2-pack of those. This is the cable spine. So this is where you can run cables down. So power, Ethernet, whatever you might need to run down, subwoofer, and hide the cables. But then when you raise and lower the desk, that will raise and lower the cables as well. You can see I have one on mine. So as I lift it up, keeps everything from getting kinked and pulled out. So I'm gonna put one on here too.
Now it's time to put everything back in place, get it all hooked up, cable managed, and ready to use. Thank you so much for watching. Please smash that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of my content in the future.